What is up, YouTube? Bobbles and Ball Cards back with another video. It's going to be another eBay video, another reselling video, and it's one that I hope you guys, the audience, can comment, chime in on, and give me your thoughts because I'm going to be honest, I'm going to do my best to explain this situation in the best way possible, give as much details as possible. I have some screenshots to share with you guys, but I'm also going to be honest, I'm very, very, very confused. I have been confused from the beginning on this. I also want to share a couple little tidbits on some things I've heard some other resellers speak on about, give some information that maybe could help some folks. But anyway, for those that watch the videos about the photo listing and everything, really appreciate you guys. There was a good bit of new subscribers there, good bit of interaction and comments and all of that, and I appreciate all of you. Some folks were excited about it. Some folks, it's eBay, right? Well, today is going to be that it's eBay crowd because I got a weird scenario here. So I got a message yesterday from a buyer that bought an item from me back in June, late June. Now I'm going to try to lay this out, so just stick with me here. But they bought this item back in June, and there was some confusion because I was checking the tracking for their item, and it was not showing ever scanned in at my post office with the tracking number for that particular item. But then another package wound up saying duplicate delivery. So at this point, I'm very confused because I don't know how, like, the same tracking wound up on two different packages. And I'm going to share details on why this confused me. Obviously, it's been said, keep your postal receipt, whatever. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I have my counter at my post office. They are great people. It doesn't matter if I have 50 packages, they scan them in at the counter. They're very efficient and they know what I'm doing and that I need them scans to hit eBay. I do have one of the kiosks, but the kiosk, when I scan it in there, if you are not familiar with those, you scan it, but it does not give an official acceptance scan until it actually hits the distribution center. Sometimes it could take 2 days or more for the items, whether they go to Dulles or Merrifield or DC, whatever distribution they wind up in, before they get their acceptance scan. And so I don't use the kiosk because if you use it and it takes a couple of days, you're going to have late shipment defects on your account and put you at risk of losing a top rated seller and all of that. So I don't do that. I take my items to the counter. There's other resellers in the area. They all do the same thing. And the guys and gals at the counter at my post office are great. However, this one they were even confused with because I throw my receipts away. They scan them, they print them out, they give it to me. I go over in the recycle bin, plop it in there. Because you can go back to the counter and they actually can pull up with a tracking number. All of your eBay items are going to have tracking numbers. They can pull up the tracking number. They can tell you who scanned it in, what time it was scanned in, and they can actually do the entire transaction and reprint the receipt. You don't need to keep them, as some suggest. All of that data is right there in the system. But if it clears your mind, so be it. But anyway, I went back over. I talked to one of the gentlemen. He pulled up the tracking number and that was of concern, and said, "Oh, Kevin, he's one of the postal guys. He scanned it in." And I was like, "Yeah, I thought it was him." And we looked at the receipt, and I noticed something weird that the one item was scanned like near the middle of the receipt, the other was at the bottom, but they did have the same tracking number. They had different weights, but the same tracking. And I'm like, I don't know how that would have happened. So I come back home and I start digging into my stuff. And whoops, add the stage here. So I'm going to do right here. I'm going to show you guys here is where I purchased the tracking, okay? Now, I try to black out any pertinent, important information, but the item in question is this one right here, and the item where it actually got delivered to is this one right here. So you can see I printed this label at 12:18 p.m., this label at 12:23 p.m. There was several items in between that I had purchased tracking for, and so I have zero clue how this item up here could have had the same tracking number as this one down here. If they were back to back, I thought, well, maybe I didn't close the window out and I reprinted the same label. And because I don't do bulk when I do my labels, I do them individually. I have my packages marked, I put the label on it. This one, it had me completely confused. And then again, like I said, take it up a notch. At the post office, they weren't scanned back to back. I thought, well, maybe he's just double scanned it or something, and it was weird on the receipt. That wasn't the case either. There was a gap in between the items scanned in. So as I looked into it further, this is the item, and the tracking number here ends in 2006, which was the Mac tools that was down at the bottom. And you can see here it says duplicate one delivered. So it's saying that that tracking number wound up 2 deliveries. Again, very, very weird. So I went and I messaged. I said, "Good evening. I see that your swivel has arrived, but for some reason it is showing me another package I shipped containing the same tracking number as your item. Did you possibly receive a second package that contained a tin Ford car in it? I'm having the post office look into it as well because I have no idea how 2 packages wound up with the same tracking number when I purchased labels for all of my items, but I thought I would reach out and check." They said, "Yes, it's on my table. If you send me your info, I'll ship it back to you." Now, in my mind, I was like, I could just have this person forwarded on to the original buyer. But they followed this message up and said, "I've already thrown the packaging and all of that away. I will also stress that this tin car, it had a defect on it that I had, posted pictures of and described in the listing. But I was worried if this person did not package it in a proper way, it could be further damaged. And I was concerned with my original buyer getting the item, not being happy, and then just having a whole mess on my hands." Also, keep in mind, more shipping is going to be whether he shipped it back to me and then I shipped it back out, or whether I sent him a label to forward it to the buyer. There was just going to be a lot of extra costs there where this item was not that expensive. It was like $14, $15 plus shipping. And so in my mind, I was like, okay, I don't know how this happened. I literally don't. The post office don't know how it happened. They were trying to pull like footage and see what was going on. The postmaster, she did a great job investigating, but she had no clear answer. And so finally, I was like, you know what? Let me just make it right, and I'm just going to refund the buyer. Apologize. Hey, I have no freaking clue what happened, but here's your money back. I do apologize. Hopefully, you can find another one of these cars. So that's what I did. I gave them a refund, and you can see right here, it was 1896 was the amount I had to cover. It was like 22 something total they paid, but the eBay fees and all that stuff doesn't come out of your funds because eBay got that money, so they have to give it back. But anyway, I refunded them right here. You see July 5th, 2024. I gave a full refund. Now, here is where things get interesting. So I showed you the tracking for the duplicate. Here is the tracking for the car. All right. And this is where things get further interesting because, as you see here, shipping label created, USPS awaiting item. That's where I said it never showed they actually received the item. It shows I created a label, but it never showed them actually scanning this 8760 tracking number into the system. So I'm on, and the buyer for this actually messages me yesterday. You can see here, August, or I guess 2 days ago, August 7th. It says, "Hello, something strange happened yesterday. I got two emails concerning our canceled deal, confirming I had refunded. One stated that the item would be arriving sometime that day, 8/7, and the second told me that the item had arrived and was left on my front porch. It's very mystifying." And this guy has creative wording in his messages, but it's very mystifying for two reasons. One, our transaction had been canceled some time ago. As I showed you, I refunded him July 5th. And two, both emails were mistaken as the item never arrived as stated. I'd still love to buy it for the amount listed, but I don't know if that is the case. Did something screwy happen on your end too? Another eBay ghost, maybe? Please let me know if you can shed any light on this. Otherwise, I wish you the best of luck with your listings. So he also got messaged that his item was delivered on the front door or porch. You can see here, June 27th, and nothing until August 4th. Magically, something happened with this tracking number, and it says that it arrived in the Metro New York Distribution Center. It was not on my shipping receipt that this tracking number was ever scanned in. It shows no acceptance from my local post office. I have an email or a message from another buyer stating they got the item, but now magically this tracking number is appearing and saying this item was delivered. So, very concerning, because this had already been delivered in Ohio with a different tracking number. This 8760 tracking number showed nothing going on, even though, as I showed right here, it would have been very difficult for me to have printed duplicate tracking when there was 1, 2, 3, 4 items in between that I had printed labels for. And you can see the date, the times right there when I printed the labels. It makes no sense. None whatsoever. I have refunded this original buyer. I have another buyer that I've contacted that claimed they got the item. The mystery of the tracking, nobody has an explanation for. However, eBay wants to give me a defect for late delivery. I contacted eBay Messenger. It's no longer the eBay for Business. You now have to go through eBay's business page. And they told me, well, the only thing we can go on is based on the tracking on the item. And that shows that you have a defect. I said, okay, so me showing you that two separate people, one says they didn't actually get the item, another says they did get the item. Even though I refunded this back in July, even though they're saying that there's nothing abnormal with the tracking, yet clearly right here, it never shows an acceptance of any kind. This is a defect on me. I don't understand. First of all, I don't know how it could have wound up with the other tracking number. That part I don't understand. I sit right here at this desk. I ship my labels or print my labels one at a time. I mark on my boxes what each item is. I do, print the label, tear it off, put it on the package, set it aside. Print the label, tear it off. It is a slow process, but when you're doing this yourself, I feel like it is the most foolproof way of avoiding accidents. There has been an instance where I put the label incorrectly. Like I got my packages mixed up, even though I had it written on there. Busy days, maybe stressed, whatever, rushing, didn't pay attention. Sometimes my printer screws up, it irritates me, who knows? That has happened once. Keep in mind, I did over 2,500 shipments last year. I've done over 1,400 this year. So in the last what 19 months, so to speak, I'm at almost 4,000 shipments. Keep in mind, I do, we've done the card grading for over 4 years. The only mistake that's ever happened there with a shipment was somebody had moved, and when I put their name into my shipping program, it brought up their old address and instead of the new one. Very first order, Shippo had changed the apartment number or something. Um, on someone's residence in New York, but that package got cleared up and the person got their cards. So what I'm saying is I can't sit here and say I don't ever have any mistakes happen. But when you look at the thousands upon thousands of shipments we have done and the processes that we put in place to avoid mistakes and the rate of mistakes, this mistake makes no sense because it wasn't the label on the incorrect package. It was somehow a tracking number duplicated, although I didn't even print them next to each other. They weren't scanned next to each other at the post office. Nobody knows how this happened, but let's throw it further. Somehow, even though someone else says they've already received the item, somehow this tracking number reappeared and processed on and says it was delivered to this buyer. Doesn't make any sense. The buyer doesn't have the item, but I get the defect. Like that's the part that gets me. I reached out. I tried explaining everything. I showed them screenshots of the conversations. They could see all of this if they really wanted to go into the account and look. I gave the refund, which, by the way, she said that even though I did a refund, since the order was not officially canceled, the tracking showed. So I'm just curious, like, what the hell happened? How could this tracking magically appear out of nowhere and say that the item was delivered, yet the buyer still doesn't have the item? Something is fishy. I don't know if this is eBay's side. I will also say the timing of this is very weird because I've seen a lot of posts that USPS's system was crediting back sellers um, shipping costs, saying that the packages were not the correct size and actually refunding money. I got two of those. They were putting in like the dimensions of the package would be 000. So I really think there was a glitch that happened, whether it's on eBay side or the post office side, both. I don't know. But I will also say it pisses me off that in this instance, and I must say, eBay is usually really well at helping me out. I know a lot of people don't, they don't have good experiences. They've been very good of helping me when I've had issues with things, whether it's feedback, whether it's scummy returns or whatever. They've been very good about it. This one, though, when it comes down to service metrics, the whole top rated seller thing, this tracking, whatever, the rep was very, very, very unhelpful. Basically, she took no interest in looking into it. She took no responsibility on behalf of eBay that maybe something glitched. It was, you just need to check with the post office, and all we can go by is the tracking number. That to me is subpar on the customer service end of things, especially when you have multiple levels of communication, especially since obviously, as a seller, I don't make a habit of just refunding people for no damn reason. That would not be the smart thing to do. And especially since I had messages from not only the buyer, but another person, one saying they had gotten the item that wasn't supposed to, and the other, supposedly the one that it got delivered to, saying that they were just as confused as I was, but yet eBay wasn't interested in helping. So that's the reason I'm making, that I'm even making this video. It's a very confusing situation. And unfortunately, this was a time where I will not praise eBay's customer service, because if this was indeed an issue or a glitch, so to speak, if we want to call it that, why not say, hey, thank you for sharing this. Let us look into it. Let's see what we can find out. Let us investigate and maybe avoid these things happening. Instead, it was they had no part. They did not want to take any responsibility on this. The defect cannot be removed, which, my transaction defect rate, honestly, I'll see if I can pull it up here. I'm not I'm not at risk. So I'll show you guys. Drag this over here. So you can see this one right here, the late shipment rate, 1 of 464 currently. I'm at 0.22. When you click on this, you can be at a 3, it's 3% or less. But it's just very strange that they would not, even look into this. I mean, all my other stuff is good. So I'm not worried about that. It's just, as the seller trying to share information with them, you would think they would want to investigate and say, hey, this doesn't make any sense. Let's see if we can figure this out. Let's see if we can, I even went and checked my printer history and to see, did something glitch in there? Did it maybe print 2 of that one label? And it, for some reason, like it had printed the one and then later on it had printed a duplicate and I didn't catch it. But that wouldn't have made any sense because I would have had the other extra label with the correct tracking number. But more importantly, how did this tracking number just reappear? A month and a half later, it is popping back up and saying that it was actually delivered when another person got a duplicate delivery and admitted that they got the item. So very, very confused. Very confused. Please let me know in the comments down below. Have you ever had anything like this happen? What do you think happened in this scenario? Because it doesn't make any damn sense. But moral to the story is eBay, they have their flaws still, especially with customer service. And I do feel like they did not handle this particular situation properly. But yeah, I just thought I would share this with all of you. If you got any questions, please comment below. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think happened? Do you feel that the defect was condoned? I mean, I had refunded the buyer, all of that. I don't know what the hell happened here. I literally have no explanation. Hopefully, I told the story to where you guys can understand. But if you're confused as well, I don't blame you. So that's all I got for you guys. As always, if you don't mind, hit that subscribe, give the video a like, comment below, and stay safe, stay healthy. And until the next video, I'm out.